Hi everyone, my name is Liswindio. I am the translator of Munada, a short story written by Mardian Sagian that was published by Intersastra in 2019. So in this opportunity, I'd like to share some of my experience in working on the translation. When I received the manuscript, I didn't translate it right away. I think just like any other translators, I read it through and then I let it sink first in my subconsciousness by visualizing and replaying every single scene that I had read over and over again in my head. The reason being isn't because I procrastinated, although yes, I am a procrastinator in daily life. But in Munada's case, it was because I wanted the story to be translated as a life experience instead of just translating it word by word. So when I started working on the translation, it would be as if I had lived within the story, as if I had experienced it myself, and then I just retold the experience itself. But by borrowing words written by Mardian, because he's the writer of the story, he's the creator of the world within Munada. So this is where it got really interesting, because Munada isn't actually a beautiful fairy tale. Because when you read a fairy tale, you want to be able to have some of it come true in your life, right? You want to live the fairy tale in real life. But far from it, Munada is in fact a tragedy. It is full of bitterness and resentment. No spoiler, but if you have ever experienced a terrible violence against you, especially if the violence itself was done in the name of religion, I think this story, when you want to read it, it really needs a trigger warning. Because I believe that by reading the story, if you have trauma related to it, then yeah, this can trigger the trauma itself. So again, after several days sinking in the story in my head and started to work on the translation, some emotions started to stir in me. The good side of it is it allowed the translation process to just flow naturally. I could use certain expressions in English to interpret the feeling and situation mentioned by Mardian in the story. Because the story itself is tragedy, and as I mentioned before, it was full of bitterness and resentment, so it had side effect on me. It made me empathize with the protagonist, and as if I could share the pain that she felt. That it made me as if I also felt all of the pain that the protagonist experienced in the story. I think this is also because Mardian is quite brilliant in putting the words to make the story whole, make it alive and relatable as well. Because I think many parts of the story, they're all based on some real life events. That's why, in my opinion, Mardian is quite brave to write this kind of story, because I believe there are groups out there that might find it offensive when if they read this kind of a story. Mardian also was successful in portraying many details, like the scenery, the equipment used to torment the protagonist, also the emotion especially. All of them are really relatable, and you can actually imagine every single part of it. That's why please read the story if you really are curious about what I'm actually saying, if you really want to know whether or not this needs trigger warning, and if this is emotional, and most of all because by the end of the story it has a lot of twists, so it's worth your time. Thank you.